you, Benita. It is always so wonderful to begin these worship services with beautiful music that Benita brings. So we're very fortunate in our little church to have good people that can play piano, like Debbie and Benita. Linda used to, but still probably can. Fortunately, everybody's healthy today. So everybody except, I just found out that Sarah, who is going to sing Oh Holy Night for us, is not feeling well. So I'm looking for a volunteer. That one would go beyond anything I could ask of anyone at this time. We hope she gets to feeling better, and we thank you that the Mizells are here with us, and it's good to see Cookie. I haven't seen her for decades.
Yeah, well, at least 1 decade.
Yeah.
1.5.
And we've got guests here. We have Madden, and we've got Sommerleigh and Beckett, right? And I don't know who's with you, I'm sorry.
And this is Dave Arnold.
Dave, welcome, welcome. Well, it is so good to see everybody here today. Welcome to this early Christmas Eve service. And I think we are all glad that we have it a little bit early today, because who knows what's going to happen with the weather, and many of us are driving, so welcome. You know, I found a quote by Laura Ingalls Wilder that to me just kind of sets the mood for us and our Christmas Eve service, because today we are really going to look back at some of the Christmases past and some of the memories that we all share, that we have had Christmas Eve services for many, many years. But she wrote, "Our hearts grow kinder with childhood and love of kindred and childhood memories. And we are better throughout the year for having, in spirit, become a child again at Christmas time." So today I hope you'll just all pull in that childhood memories and the times from, some of you are still children, thank you, but for many of us, we need to look back, and just helps to bring the joy to the season when we remember the lovely memories we have as children. I do want to start, as I mentioned, we are honoring Jean Graver, and I think most of you here, not the younger ones, but remember Jean and the blessing that she was to our community here, because every Christmas Eve we would have a different play. And she wrote these, she would collect things during the year, and then she would find out just how many kids were going to be in the group tonight, and she would produce a play so that everybody had a part that was at their level of being able to participate. Even young, how old's Beckett? 3, so yes. So we're glad you're all here with us tonight. So I wanted to read what, we have a book, and thanks to Linda Krause, who remembers everything, we need her to. She remembered where we put this book. This is Christmas Plays for the Young at Heart, that was produced in 2001, so that we could record some of these memories. So there have been a lot of Christmas plays since then, and Carly was saying, Carly is Jean's granddaughter, she was saying, I hope I can find some of these. I'd like to get a collection so we could get up to date on. Jean died 6 years ago. I remember, but what she wrote in the foreword to this book: "My involvement with plays at our Christmas Eve service probably began 20 years ago." And this was written 20 years ago, so she did this for probably 40 years. "My young son loved to act. He loved to act out stories that I read to him. He and the 4 or 5 other children in our Sunday school group portrayed the story of Mary and Joseph at the manger that first Christmas Eve. I believe Eric, our minister, read the story from the Bible as they posed in costumes. Included in this book are plays beginning in 1984 and continuing through 2001. They are adaptations of children's books, personal experiences, stories from my youth, and holiday essays found in library collections. For a long time, only the children were on stage. The church play became such a part of their Christmas tradition that they were willing to participate after going to high school and college." And I have to put a footnote in here. Most of you here know my daughter, Kasana. I was talking to her because I asked several people some memories that they had from being in the play. And one of her memories was when she went off to college, She thought she had graduated from being in plays. Ethan's shaking his head no. So when she's driving back after finishing her finals and everything, she gets a call from Jean. And whoever was going to be the lamb at the play had gotten sick. And she needed Kasana to play the lamb. And she assured her there was only like one line she had to learn, and Jean would bring her costume. So Kasana got here, you know, she was dressed reasonably, and Jean put cotton balls on her bottom to make her into a lamb. So here she had to go, a freshman in college, up here and be a lamb with cotton balls stuck on her bottom. So that was one of her memories of this time. So it says that you participate even after you continue to get out of high school and college. And as young married couples and as parents with their own children, some are still involved each Christmas. The parents are the go-power of these plays. Through the years, they have taken my scripts and provided the creative ideas and effort to make the plays work. Costumes, stage sets, music, sound effects, props, ideas, solutions to emergency situations. These are their annual contributions. When we needed a larger cast, the adults readily volunteered. Eric was the first to be a regular cast member. Our church family has always had an openness and willingness to work together. It definitely shows in this tradition. We have made a lifetime of Christmas memories for all of us. I hope you, and this she wrote because we created a book like this for all of our churches to send out to them. We hope that you and your church family can adapt these plays to fit your needs and in the process create precious memories of your own. Jean Graber. So today we're going to talk quite a bit about the Magi. You know, there's kind of two Christmas stories. There's one that we have in Matthew, which is about the Magi, and in Luke it talks more about the shepherds. So on the front of your bulletin, I just wanted to mention this picture here because it has to do with the conflict going on in Israel and Palestine that's heavy on our hearts this Christmas season. I had the opportunity to go in March to visit the Holy Land, and I took this picture. And this is a picture in Hor, which is called the Field of Shepherds. So if you look at the picture here, this is, instead of like a big church or something that's built over what is considered a holy site, what they did was just have an open field, and this is how they honored it, was this field of shepherds. And we stayed with a Palestinian family. That we were a group from our church, our larger group from the Swedenborgian Church, and we all split up and stayed with a Palestinian family, a Christian Palestinian family overnight. And this is near Bethlehem. Bethlehem now is 80% Christian and 20% Muslim, which I didn't realize. So a lot of Christian Palestinians living in this area, and we asked them because their conditions are tough. The water system is not that reliable. The trash doesn't get picked up. There were a lot of things that made it really hard to live in this area. And we asked him why they stayed. And I will always remember he said, well, we were the first ones to go to be at Jesus' birth, because this field of shepherds, the shepherds were from this area, and his family and his family's family and all the way back had lived in this area. So they believe that when Jesus comes back, according to their tradition, that they need to be there so he will see people that he's familiar with, because they're the same people that were at his birth. I thought that was an interesting tradition. So they stay waiting for Jesus' return. And if you've been listening to the news, they have just canceled Christmas at Bethlehem because of all of the violence. So I think it's important we hold them in our hearts. This actually is a cross that I brought back from Jerusalem, which shows the four parts of them all trying to live together with the Jewish people, the Christian people, the Muslim, and the Armenians in this small space, crowded together. Tensions are high. So please let us keep them in our prayers for peace. I want to share the word about the Magi with us. I'm reading from Matthew, the 2nd chapter, the visit of the Magi. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them, "Where is this Christ to be born?" "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will be the shepherd of my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and make a careful search for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I may go too and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother, Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. So let us stand and sing, "O Come All Ye Faithful." It's in the maroon books. You'll have number 93. We'll sing the first 3 verses. God is with us.
We know God is with us. The prophets foretold God's promise was one.
God is with us.
We believe God is with us, for we have experienced the presence of God in our lives.
God is with us.
We feel God with us as our hearts are moved with the wonder of God's love in the child who is and was and will be born.
God is with us.
We will prove God is with us
Through words of compassion and deeds of caring. God is with us.
Emmanuel, thanks
be to God. You may be seated. So as I mentioned, I collected a few memories, and we'll have a time later for anyone that wants to share their memories also. But this one comes from my son, Drew, who many of you know as Andy. Could not be here today. They're celebrating Christmas with Amy's family in Kansas City. So these are some of my favorite Christmas Eve memories at the Prairie Church. Remember the real luminaries? I found it so cool and often got to help light them. For some reason, I remember them being Aunt Jenny's initiative, and I think it was Aunt Jenny that would bring, and we'd line, do you remember we'd line the sidewalks with them, hoping that the candles wouldn't turn over and start the sack on fire. I remember walking into the church and looking for Rudolph's nose in the night sky. I remember working hard to memorize my lines in preparation for the annual play. Singing Silent Night with the candles was always a big part that I looked forward to from the time I was very little and even into adulthood. If I recall correctly, Eric often sang a solo for the service, and everyone brought their talents to showcase that evening. I remember it being an opportunity for all the kids to participate into a play and perform their talents as well. I remember how Eric smelled, and how his office smelled, just like him, and how he was always so welcoming and caring and never seemed judgmental. I remember singing carols around town in the bitter cold and brightening people's day one front door at a time. And I remember one time I got to play Santa Claus, and it was so fun to watch the children's eyes and to remember that the smell and the sweat in the costume that I had to wear. And I remember Cassandra played Miss Claus at least one year with me. I have lots of memories filling the candy bags at Grandma Siebert's house in advance of the service and finding it kind of funny that it included peanuts, still in the shell, and an orange. I don't know, Benita, do we still have peanuts still in? So Benita did the bags of candy for us this year, and yes, we will have an orange and peanuts in the shell, in addition to the other candy. So thank you. Did you do that all by yourself? Well, thank you. So now I'd like to go through, and we're not going to act out this play, but I want you to get a feel for something, kind of what it was like for one of Jean's plays. So with my volunteers, if I could have the three wise men come up first. Do you have your name tags? Sorry. It's just the without costume. It's hard to tell who's who.
Don't listen to me.
So you have to imagine the stage first, okay? It's at the upper level. There was a throne-like chair for King Herod. In scene 2, slightly to the left, were 2 small chairs, a hammer, a cradle. The door frame with an attached star is to be in the front right of the stage. And props, and listen to all the things we had to gather. A throne, King Herod's crown and royal cape. Wise men should wear bathrobes, heads covered with cloths or small crowns, gift-type boxes for gold, frankincense, and myrrh, a scroll for the priest. The astrologer is supposed to wear a pointed cap with stars on it, a cradle, 2 small chairs, a hammer, a doll wrapped in a blanket, Joseph's traveling bag, 2 battery-powered candles, angels wearing white choir jackets, small wings are attached to each. The angels can also wear crowns of silver garland. We need a priest, and Mary, astrologer, and Joseph. They're all to be dressed appropriately for the time, and a door frame with an aluminum foil star attached to it. So let us begin. Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him." Tonight's play is called King Herod and the Wise Men. It presents a different slant to the well-known Christmas story. And as you meet familiar characters in its 4 scenes, be aware that their message tells more than a simple Bible legend. King Herod, for example, corresponds to the evil and selfishness that can rule our lives if we allow it. The wise men portray those people who want to learn more about the Lord and live according to his teachings. The star is a symbol of knowledge and truth. And just as the star guided the wise men, we can use the Bible every day to show us how to follow the Lord's plan. Our conscience is represented by God's messengers, the angel. We must listen to our conscience as the wise men Mary and Joseph did, the angel. By doing so, we will be warned of evil and helped to do what is right. The play opens, and I'll go ahead and play King Herod. The play opens in the throne room of King Herod's palace in Jerusalem. The steward comes in. "O king, we have visitors, 3 men from the east. They wish to speak with you." "What do they want?" "I don't know. They seem to be lost." Show them in." They all come forward and bow down to the king. What do you want of me?" Real loud and project, like Jean would always tell us to do.
Louder and slower.
You got it. Say it one more time. We didn't catch it the first time. Say it.
Do you want me to say it with you? Wise man number 1. "Oh, mighty king, we are lost."
We are looking for the new king of the Jews.
We have seen a star in the east and come
And-
to worship him.
Please say it so people can hear.
We have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him.
But now the star has disappeared.
We cannot find him.
Do you know where he is?
"A new king? I'm the only king. I don't know of any other, but stay a while. I will try to find out. Steward, see that our guests have food and lodging." And the steward says, "Yes, my lord. Come with me, gentlemen." "Herod, where's my astrologer? Where's my chief priest? I command you, come now." So all these were different people that had different parts. And they asked, "What is it, your majesty?" "Where is this new king that the men from the east are looking for? I am king here. What do you know of another king? Where and when is he to be born? Find out now." So the priest and astrologer move to the side and unroll a scroll, and they study it, and they come back. "The new king will be born in Bethlehem, for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will be the shepherd of my people Israel." "Bethlehem, a new ruler of Israel? Why was I not told of this? I'm king here. There must not be any other king." The priest says, "But you are surely king here, the only king. You may go. Bring in the visitors." Wise man number 2.
What can you tell us, your majesty?
"You say that a star guides you?"
Yes, Your Majesty. The star has guided us all the way from the east.
We hope it will guide us again.
But now we are lost. The star is gone.
"Well, I have good news for you. You must go to Bethlehem and look for the child. My chief priest says that this new king will be born there. But when you find the child, come back and tell me. I want to go and worship him also."
Thank you, O king.
We will look in Bethlehem.
And we will certainly return and tell you where he is when we find him.
Right. Thank you, wise men. You can sit down. And now Joseph and Mary. Scene 2 takes place in a house in Bethlehem. Mary is sitting on a chair holding Jesus, and Joseph is working with a hammer, finishing a wooden cradle. Okay, who remembers Grandma Siebert giggling in the pew? And Leslie's playing Joseph. Do you remember, Linda, what happened?
And Mary hit the door, boom, so she could be hit.
She couldn't quit laughing
Quit
because
laughing.
somebody was a
Roy.
shepherd. Roy was a shepherd.
He was a shepherd, and his towel kept falling down over his eyes.
Okay, Joseph.
There, it's finally finished.
Joseph, you've done
such a good job. The manger in the stable keeps Jesus warm and safe, but now he has a real bed.
Look at him smile.
He likes what you have made.
And then the wise men come back again.
I hear someone coming.
We don't have directions this time.
It must be this house.
See the star?
We have found him at last. King Herod was right. The Christ child is here in Bethlehem.
Is this the house of Jesus the Christ?
We have seen his star.
We have gifts to give him.
Yes, Jesus is here. Please come in.
I bring gold, the gift of love.
I bring sweet-smelling incense, awareness of truth.
I bring myrrh so he may understand the way of this world.
Thank you so much. These are wonderful gifts.
Where do you come from?
We come from the east.
And now we must go back to our own country.
We have seen the newborn king. Thank you.
Okay. And then this last scene is where the angel comes. It takes place later that night.
Wise men, wake up. You must not go back to King Herod. He is an evil man. He wants to destroy the Christ child. He must never find baby Jesus.
How cruel.
We will never go back to King Herod.
Let's go to our country another way.
Joseph, you must take the young child and Mary, his mother, and go to Egypt. King Herod wants to destroy him. Jesus will be safe in Egypt.
Mary, wake up.
What's wrong, my husband?
We must leave here. God's angels warned me that King Herod wants to kill Jesus.
What shall we do? Where shall we go?
Pack quickly. We will travel to Egypt. Jesus will be safe there.
Come, my child. Your heavenly Father is watching over you.
Now the Lord Jesus will be safe. He will grow up to be the Savior of all people. Glory to God in the highest.
And in the final scene of the play, we're back at King Herod's palace for a few weeks later. Herod says, "The wise men have not returned to me. I will find this Christ child, and I will destroy him if I have to kill every baby boy in Bethlehem."
But King Herod never found the Christ child. Jesus was safe in Egypt. Later, when King Herod died, Joseph and Mary settled in the land of Galilee, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man.
And one thing that I have learned from Jean is when you ask somebody to do something, you give them a little gift. You're very welcome. Thank you, Leslie. And our wise men. Thank you all. So that gives you a little of the flavor. And now let us sing, thank you all, let's sing O Little Town of Bethlehem, number 101, please. Please stand as you are able. track of the words of that song. Do you know the words?
No, I don't think I do.
Does somebody remember what was important about the little drummer boy? As I recall, he didn't feel he had a gift that was adequate to give to Jesus. And Jesus said, oh, you can play your drum for me. So that's what you did. Thank you. And accompanying your sister. That's beautiful.
She has one other piece to play.
Excuse me?
She has one other piece to play instead of vocal.
Okay. Do you want to play it now?
Sure.
What is the name of this piece?
I'm not quite sure. It's some German dance, I think maybe by Haydn.
Okay.
Oh, dang it. Can I start over?
Sure.
Dang it. I'm sorry. I keep messing up.
You're fine.
Just keep going.
Is that one of your favorites?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been taking from Debbie for some years?
Yeah.
Good for you. We appreciate you sharing your talents with us today. And now we have special music from Jean and Tara.
I'm gonna say that's a hard act to follow.
While they're setting up, I'm just going to read one more thing that Jean wrote. This was her thanks, so you'll know who helped to put this book together. Turning a collection of plays into this organized, illustrated, and useful book has truly been a team effort. Mary Siebert typed all the plays into her computer and painstakingly added my clarifications of each one. Then she edited, retyped, re-edited, and retyped the changes we made. The artistic skills of Margaret Krause are shown in the illustrations she provided for the title page of each play. So this was King Herod and the Wise Men. She did special things for every page of the plays. Doug McGovern captured the details of our sanctuary in the photograph he took for the cover. My sister Sue Harris mailed video copies of some plays from her home in Boston so we could visually relive their magic. Linda Krause and Jane Siebert helped proofread. Neither of us remember this. We provided ideas and kept the project on task. Christmas Plays for Young at Heart is the creation of these special people, and I thank them all. And we thank you, Jean. And now Jean and Tara, what are you going to play for us?
Okay, this song is a Christmas song written by Joe Collins, and he plays dulcimer, so he wrote it and then he tabbed it for dulcimers. And so it's a pretty one that my dulcimer group likes. And over the past, this is the second Christmas we've played, I kind of talked Tara into playing with me, and she doesn't really play the dulcimer. She's been learning the guitar. And the thing about dulcimer music is that we play with, I kind of call it like music by numbers, like paint by number, because we don't have to really look at the notes. You know, we know the notes that are there. But Tara, she says, no, I'm going to read the notes. And so she reads the notes and she puts in extra chords. And so we practiced this yesterday. And so this is the practice that she had. And I've played it a lot, but I will make probably more mistakes than she will.
I'm not playing the chords.
So anyway, so we may have to start over 2 or 3 times at different places. So.
And Tara drove all the way from California just to be here with us.
Yeah.
And family.
So it's called It's Christmas Time. And so we'll see how we do here because I get kind of nervous. I took some piano lessons with Debbie and I would always make mistakes at concerts, and so I'm ready for that. Okay, are we ready? 4, 5. Okay, wait a minute. This is our start over. Okay, here we go. 4, 5.
It was pretty.
There's something so relaxing about that music. Beautiful.
And Jane has a dulcimer, and I've been trying to
I
get
know.
her to start
Next year. It's still in its case. Okay, Benita, let's see. Yes, Benita is going to share one more play with us called The 3 Trees.
And I'm the cast. This play is called The 3 Trees. I believe the 3 trees, I thought at first, were played by Cassandra, Tenley, and Allison. Tenley and Allison being my 2 daughters. But I've learned since being here that it was Karen and Tenley and Allison, probably sometime in the early 1990s. Besides the 3 trees, the cast included the narrator, Mary, Jesus, 3 woodcutters, several travelers, a farmer, and various crowd members. You'll need to envision a high cardboard frame scene across the center stage on which is painted a mountain reaching into the clouds, trees, a stream, no doubt all painted by our very talented Margaret Krause. In front of this picture are 3 freestanding trees. Jean states that we would need to find refrigerator boxes to make these trees. The girls are to stand behind the large painted picture with peepholes cut out in front of them so that they can see what's going on. They will also have a hand mic to pass between them to say their lines. I'm sure that they had fun behind there. Jean also thought refrigerator boxes could be used to make a feed box that will be needed later in the play, as well as making the frame of a boat. Other props to be used are the woodcutter's axes, a hammer, several beam-like boards, a doll in a blanket, a chair for Jesus, wood nailed together as a cross that's standing in some kind of base. So picture the mountain scene, the 3 trees, soft background music with one spotlight on, and the narrator here at the front. Narrator: long, long ago, 3 trees stood on a mountaintop and dreamed of what they wanted to be when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars twinkling like diamonds above her. Tree 1: I want to hold treasure. I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the whole world. Narrator: the second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean. Tree 2: I dream of being a strong sailing ship. I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in all the world. Narrator: the third little tree looked down into the valley below, where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town. Sighing, the third little tree said, I don't want to leave the mountaintop. I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in this wide world. All the lights go up, and the narrator says, years passed. The rains came, the sun shone, the little trees grew taller and taller. One day, a woodcutter climbed the mountain and went to tree number 1. Woodcutter 1: this tree is beautiful. It is perfect for me. When the first tree heard this, she said, my dream is coming true. Now I will be made into a beautiful chest. I shall hold wonderful and valuable treasures. And with one swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell and was dragged off. Not long after that, a second woodcutter climbed the mountain. He goes over to tree number 2 and says, this tree is strong. It is perfect for me. Tree number 2 says, now I will sail the mighty oceans of the world. I shall be a strong ship fit for kings. Again, with a mighty swoop, woodcutter 2 cuts the second tree down and drags it off. Narrator: the third tree breathed a great sigh of relief. She was glad the 2 woodcutters had not chosen her. Now she could concentrate on growing so tall that people would think of God in his heaven when they looked at her. But the very next day, woodcutter 3 climbs the mountain. Without even bothering to look around, he went to the third tree. This was a grouchy woodcutter, and he said, this one is easy to get to. It really doesn't matter what it looks like. Any tree will do for me. And he cuts down the tree and drags it away. At this point, the lights go out. The feed box is pulled on stage along with several branches of a tree. The lights go back up. A farmer with his tools begins his work in completing the feed box. The farmer: with a little more work, this feed box will be ready to hold the hay my animals eat. Tree number 1: a feed box? I am not to be a treasure chest, but only something for hungry farm creatures to eat from. My dream is ruined. At this point, the farmer freezes in his position. Narrator: the second tree smiled widely when the woodcutter took her to a shipyard, but no sailing ships were being made that day. Tree 2 says, what's he doing with me? I'm not becoming a mighty ship? I can't believe this. Instead of carrying kings on the ocean, I'll spend my days as a simple fishing boat on a small lake, bringing in loads of dead, smelly fish. At this point, the second woodcutter freezes. Narrator: the third tree was really confused when the woodcutter split her into strong beams and left her in a lumber yard. Woodcutter 3 says, "There, I'll just stack the beams here until I need them." Tree 3 says, "What happened? All I ever wanted to do was stay on the mountaintop and point to God." And again, at this point, the lights all go out. The characters leave the stage, and while the lights are out, Mary takes her place by the feed box with her doll. The spotlights go up. Narrator: "Many, many days and years and nights passed. The 3 trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn child into the feed box. Mary, rocking her baby gently, says, 'Sleep softly, my precious son.'" Narrator: "She heard her husband whisper, 'I wish I could make him a cradle.' Mary smiles and runs her hand along the feed box. Mary: "This manger is very beautiful." Narrator: "And suddenly the first tree realized," Tree 1, "I am holding the greatest treasure in the world." The lights go out. Mary and baby with feed box move off stage. In its place, the boat is moved on stage, with Jesus among other travelers sitting within the boat. The lights go back on. Narrator: "Again, many years later, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the small fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree, now a small boat, quietly sailed out across the lake. Soon a thundering, thrashing storm arose." Sound effects from the piano. Debbie, you were probably playing, so probably Jean told you to come up with some discordant notes. Traveler 1: "The boat will never hold together." Traveler 2: "I can't see the shore." Traveler 3: "The waves are getting higher." Traveler 2: "Help." Traveler 3: "We'll tip over and drown. We're going to die." Jesus awakens, stands up, and stretches out his hand. Jesus says, "Be at peace." The travelers looked to him, motionless. The storm noises stop. Narrator: "The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun, and the second tree knew, I am carrying the King of heaven and earth." The lights go out and all move off the stage area. The lights go back on. Woodcutter number 3 takes the cross from the lumber pile and moves to the stage. He says, "Pontius Pilate has finished with that Jew. I've got to get this done quickly. They're bringing him up the hill now," and he keeps hammering. The narrator: "The angry crowd yelled and jeered as a prisoner was taken to the cross. Different members of the crowd call out, 'There he is! Crucify him! King of the Jews! Crucify him! They're nailing him to the cross!' Everyone freezes in their spots. Tree 3 says, 'Oh no,' in a shuddering voice. 'I feel so ugly and cruel. No, please, no.' All the lights go out. Everyone on stage sits down in the front pews. An Easter hymn is played softly with only the spotlight on. Narrator: "But Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It made the first tree beautiful. It made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would truly think of God." All the lights go on. The background music becomes louder. The cast turns to the audience, and all bow.
Thank you. Are there others that would like to share some memories?
The one that Benita just read is the one I remember, that boat, you know, and it was Ron Graber's 3 little kids that were, you know, Traveler 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, and all the refrigerator boxes.
Yes, and then when Eric stood up, only what I remember him saying is, "Peace, be still." You know, but, you know, there's several.
I'm sure he came up with his own lines.
Oh, yeah, they never really knew what the cue was gonna be. And I can tell you that the crowns, the three,
Can everybody hear her? Can you?
the crowns came from Burger King. They were and I think they're still downstairs. And I think Grace and I cut tea towels in the middle, and then the angels put them over their clothes, and that was the angels. Yeah,
A lot of improvisation.
it was a lot of, we all did a lot of things and enjoyed it.
I just remember one thing is that,
Do you mind standing so everybody can hear you?
yeah, everyone, all the participants in the plays, they had to practice before it was perfect for Jean to accept, and she always said, talk louder, so they can hear you. So,
Louder and slower.
slower. So,
Were you in a play? Which one?
15 of them? 10 at least.
But no, I don't remember Noah. Were you in?
No,
Oh, yeah.
What were you, Noah? Were you a woodcutter?
Oh, I'm not that one.
Oh.
Karen was one of the trees.
Yeah, he would have been a little into that. Yep, well, it spans a lot of time and a lot of wonderful memories, so. Anyone else?
She was very creative,
She was a very creative lady, as she was.
and she was very good at getting every little bit of talent out of everybody.
Yeah.
You were scared to not give it.
In our tradition, our Swedenborgian tradition, we believe that heaven is not just about sitting around playing harps or whatever your pictures of heaven, but that you'll continue to be useful. And I like to think of Jean putting on plays in heaven, you know, getting all the kids going together and joining her and teaching, making sure everybody knows how to read.
Lower and louder.
Lower and louder. Yep. She brought us joy, and I'm sure she took a lot of joy with her to heaven. So we're thankful for that. So let us sing our third hymn, which is Hark the Herald Angels Sing, number 93, verses 1 and 2. Please stand as you are able to. you will need your programs, please, to read along with me. I'm kind of slow. I have a knee that is only a month old, and we're doing quite well together, but just being cautious. You'll notice the wreath, the 4 purple candles and the 1 pink candle, and they're all down a little bit because each week of Advent we light a different candle, an additional candle. So we're going to go, and different traditions have different names for their candles and a different order, but we will follow what is in our bulletin. And tonight we're going to start with hope. And I think that is just such, we all hold that hope in our heart, because when Jesus came into the world, it was torn apart by war and dissension, and people were not getting along. And I think it's so significant when we think of the shepherds, the local people that came first to see the Christ child. And then we have the Magi that we don't know for sure how long they traveled. But if you notice, he was in a house when they came. And so they traveled from the east, and they are what we often call the Gentiles in the scriptures when we read about. They're the foreigners. The foreigners trying to find their way to the Christ child. So Jesus' birth brings this together. The local people, the foreigners, the love that we all need to have for one another to give us the hope for this season. So please read together the first candle we light for hope. We light this candle for hope, because of you, Lord, we have hope. Hope for our world, our community, our family, and ourselves. And the second candle we light is for peace. And we all hold that in our prayers for peace in 2024. We have had a rough year in 2023, and this Christmas season, it's heavy in our hearts. So let us light this candle for peace. We light this candle for peace. We ask for peace, not as the world gives, but as you give, O Lord. And in the midst of this, we can still find joy in this blessed Christmas season. So let us light the third candle, that we may find joy. We light this candle for joy. We thank you, Lord, that with you we find joy in this struggles of life. And our fourth candle is for love. And that is what Jesus came to bring to the world. And Jesus offers to all of us that love in our heart, that we care for one another. We light this candle for love. Your love is our very life. Teach us to share your love with others. Love isn't wanting to burn. Come on, love. There, love. Okay. And our last is the Christ child, which brings all 4 things together within. We light this candle for the Christ child, whose birth we celebrate tonight. May the Christ child be born in each of us this Christmas. Then let us just pause for a moment in our own stillness of our heart and remember the joy of this holy night. And now if I can have Leslie and Tara hand out the candles. As we sing number 107, Silent Night, and we will sing all the verses. Leslie, can I? It's different to do this during the daytime, isn't it? Yeah, we'll ask them both. You may remain seated.